Welcome to today's weekly digital marketing breakdown. Again, I am Patrice Valentine. I'm the owner of ProFusion Web Solutions. Today, we are going to talk about something your emails are probably not being read. And it's a topic that I even started thinking about because of my 18-year-old daughter. She just got accepted to college. She'll be going in the fall. And she started once she got accepted and she accepted her position at Washington State University when she said, yes, I would like to go. She got all kinds of very important emails that required her to do a number of things: housing deposit, declare a major, set a meeting with an advisor. She had all of these things that she needed to do. However, being an 18-year-old, she does not do things the same way that I do or that a lot of people do. Rather than reading all of these emails that she was receiving from Washington State University, she was relying on the AI summary at the top of her email. She uses Gmail, but this is happening across a lot of email clients, so not just Gmail. She was using the AI summary of the email to keep her up to date on whether or not she needed to do something. So the summary of the email might say something like, congratulations, new Coug. Um, you know, your orientation is coming up, something like that. It would give a brief, a little snippet of information about what was actually in the email, but it wouldn't give her all of the information. No one would know that because she only looked at the AI overview. She wasn't reading the full email. So we got a more urgent nudging email that like, hey, if you don't schedule this advisor appointment by 2 days from now, you will not have a spot in the fall of 2026 Washington State University, class. And so I was kind of like, well, what the heck, Paige? Like, what's going on? Why is this not being taken care of? And she kept saying, well, I never got the email. I never got the message saying I had to schedule this. Well, sure enough, if you would read down into the actual email and read the messages, you would see that there was a link at the bottom. It was just buried so deep into the email message that anyone using the AI overviews or simply scanning the emails would have completely missed that. So this topic is born a little bit out of my own motherly frustration and also out of the fact that times they are a changing, right? People aren't reading emails anymore. They are simply either skimming them to get the information or are relying on imperfect AI overviews to make sure that that information is delivered. So title of today's session is Your Emails Are Probably Not Getting Read. That's a bold claim, but I do want to just make sure that we're looking at it is that no one is reading emails the way that we used to. We're not consuming information the way that we used to. So if you're expecting someone to read your emails from top to bottom in every single word, they're likely not doing that anymore. This is especially true for automated emails. So if you send out confirmation messages, things like appointment reminders, renewal notices, those more transactional type emails, the stuff that goes out, whether you're thinking about it or not, there are four things that I want you to change in how you're sending those emails or what you're inputting into those emails. And that's what we're going to look at today. So let's take a look at actually where this is taking place. So I gave you the example of my daughter, but here's actually kind of what that looks like on your screen. Gmail is one of the first to roll this out, but I have an Apple iPhone, and if I use the mail function of my phone, it automatically has an AI summary of all the emails as well. So it's being rolled out across a lot of different email clients right now. You can opt in to Copilot with this right now on Microsoft, I believe is one of the options. There are a lot of third-party vendors that you can also add to and pay for a subscription fee that will also help summarize your emails. So this is already happening. It's already a big business for people who are receiving a ton of emails, like most business owners. And so it is something we have to pay attention to. So if we look specifically at Gmail, one of the most widely used email clients, it has already started to use the AI summaries to generate. It's basically just a two-line summary at the top. It shows up at the top of the message, like you can see on my screen there, where it says AI summary, and it just gives a real brief description of what is in the email. A lot of people are reading those summaries and moving on, especially like I said, for those transactional emails. They get enough information from that two-line description, and then they move on to the next thing, thinking that okay, great, they've received my order. That's all I need to do from this. We are all skimming more than we used to. This is not something that's only in emails. This is also true for websites. It's also true for our attention span on videos. Everything is getting shorter. Our time spent in the inbox is shorter. So if something looks handled, like this order has been placed, great, then we tend to just move on and forget about it. Now, if we got this confirmation that said if we actually needed to do something with this email confirmations or with this order confirmation, so if there was a pickup window, for example, if it said something like, I think even in the email there it says your pickup window is Thursday between 3 and 5 p.m. Kind of hard to read on that screenshot there, but the AI summary doesn't pick this up at all. All it picks up is your order has been received. It doesn't tell me in that summary that, oh, by the way, it's been received and your pickup time is between 3 and 5 p.m. And that is where the problem lies. This user then, if they only read the summary, understands their order has been received, and they are not aware that they may need to take a next step in order to continue the order, in order to get access to, whatever information you want them to have access to. So there is additional information in the email, but the AI summary is imperfect about picking all of that up. Not all emails is this a real problem for? Obviously, transactional emails, a bigger problem. Marketing emails, like things like newsletters, promotions, announcements. If someone's getting more of a vague AI summary on that, that's frustrating for us as business owners. We put time and attention into these newsletters that we're sending out. So it's frustrating if the AI summary doesn't get it correct, but it's not necessarily a business deal breaker, right? We're not sending out order information or pickup information that is now missed. That information on the transactional emails is incredibly frustrating as a business owner and as the person actually making the transaction. Because if your business is sending something automatically, when an order takes place, when you book an appointment, those emails carry real information that we expect the customer to act on or that we need the customer to act on. If someone is simply reading a vague AI summary of their, the checkout confirmation and they assume everything is fine, but the actual next step was in paragraph 4, for example, then they're going to miss it. And then you have a problem on your hand as a business owner because they're going to either phone call you with some frustrations, they're going to email you with frustrations. Worst case scenario, they're going to do a Google business profile review with some frustrations because they didn't get all of the information. Not really your fault because the information was contained in the email, but it is not being particularly picked up by the AI summaries. So again, it's an issue that we do need to take care of. It is also fixable. That's the good news. So if you follow I think 4 or 5 steps that we have, I think it's truly 4 steps and then 5 steps. The fifth step is revisiting what we looked at last week. Those 4 steps, if you follow those, then AI will be more likely to actually pick up the information that you need to get across to your customers. So let's take a look at fix number 1, and that is simply front loading the important information. So I have 2 different emails on my screen. The one on the left is before, the one on the right is an after email. And you can see the first one in the before picture, it just simply has the information that's important. However, it's below that first paragraph. So that first paragraph contains thank you information. We're very polite in our email here. So we want to say thank you so much for your order. We appreciate it. But all the AI summary sees on this one is your order has been received. If you look at the after, you can see the AI or the order information is hi. You can put in the person's first name, and then all of the order information is directly below the address line. So directly below that where you would merge in the person's first name. So you're putting all of that information directly as soon as they open that email. Then you can put, if you wanted to add your, hey, thank you so much for your order. We really appreciate it. You can add that thank you information below the important order information. It's not that AI only reads the top, but they kind of front load the information from the top. They give that more bias. So it's called the first half bias, and studies are showing that the AI summarization tools pull almost 85% from the first half of an email message. So if you think of the first half of an email message, it might have your logo, it might have a hero image, you might have, some cute branding that you're putting on there. And then you're going to have your hello and your thank you message. And then you finally get to the goods. You get to that order information, the pickup information, and all of that. And that is below the top half of that email. And that is likely going to get blocked or mis-summarized by AI. So we want to include that information at the top. So fix number 1 is pretty simple. Reorder how you're placing the information in your automated emails. So you usually can go in and edit these if you're using a system like WooCommerce or WordPress or Gravity Forms has their autoresponder function. If you're using any of those basic tools, you can go in and change the order and the content that's in those order notifications. And you just want to make sure that all of the order information, pickup information, next step information is in that top half of the email that you're sending out. Fix number two, and this has been, and we've been preaching good subject lines for quite a long time because this matters for open rates, but now it also is going to matter to kind of feed the AI summary as well. Subject lines are used by both AI and the human. So the human gets to see, okay, my order was received with some information, and it validates that the purchase has been, actually confirmed. And then AI also uses that information to actually pull from the summary. So if it's vague, if it just says thank you, then that subject line actually hurts you twice, so for the user and for the AI summary. If you look at the examples I have on my screen right now, you've got the vague ones on the left that I think we probably have all seen when we've ordered online somewhere, and then more specific ones on the right. So rather than your order has been received, try your order for Father's Day flowers, and then a pickup time Thursday by 5 p.m. Now, again, I'm not expecting you to sit down and hand email out every time someone places an order or every time there's an automation. These are all typically fields that you can merge in. If you're using, like I said, WooCommerce, MailChimp, any of the standard email systems that you're using to automate these emails will allow you to merge in pickup information or order date or order number or person's name, anything that is collected from the user or is stored in the database for that purchase will be able to be used as a merge tag. So you're merging in important information there. Second one that's vague, appointment reminder. The opposite of that would be reminder. Your appointment is Wednesday, June 18th, 2:30 p.m. The AI summary for that is really going to be, it's probably going to pull in my name. So your appointment with Patrice is Wednesday, June 18th at 2:30 p.m. So it'll have all of that information right there in the AI summary. The vague example is important information about your account. This happens if I actually just saw, I pulled this directly from my inbox and it was a renewal reminder for an association that I'm a member of. It says important information about your account. And that could be anything. That could be any number of things that I need to do. But the specific action would be action needed. Your subscription renews in 3 days, in 10 days, or on June 18th, whatever that information is that you have about that user in the database. So instead of using a vague subject line, which again, they're easy to write, that you can keep them pretty generic, but what we're seeing now is those are not helpful when it comes to those AI summaries. So we want to be really specific. This is more of a writing habit, getting yourself in the habit of being more specific so that you're not just looking like a generic default text that's being sent across. You can often customize all of these, again, in any of the platforms that you're using. So the test here that you want to ask yourself is, if someone only read the subject line and the first sentence of my email, would they have everything that they need? And if the answer to that is yes, then great. AI is likely going to summarize that just fine. And your human user, if they do read that email, they're going to be grateful because they didn't have to, kind of hunt for the information further on down in the email. Fix number 3 is, again, this is for automated emails. So you're not going to do this if you're just sending me a one-off message. You're not worrying about pre-header text or preview text, but if you're sending automated messages, you want to make sure that you do put something into that optional pre-header or preview text field. Every email that you're sending out typically has 3 things that the inbox sees before anyone opens it. So you're going to see this in your inbox before you even open the email. And that is the sender name. So right, you can see this one is from ProFusion Web Solutions. So the sender name, you're going to see the subject, which is your order for Father's Day flowers. And then you're going to see the pre-header or the preview text, which is bring order number 4821, parking is behind the building. So I've added additional helpful information into the pre-header text. Again, this is merged. So I'm not writing this for every single email that's sent out. This data is merged. So the order number is merged, and then parking is behind the building is generic enough text that I can put in for every single order there. Again, this is if you're not using the preview or the pre-header text, it's going to either, if you're sending like a MailChimp email, it likely will pull in and show view this email in your browser because that is the first thing that's at the very top of most MailChimp emails, or it's going to pull in the first, 150 or so characters that are in that email. So this might say, hi, Patrice, thanks so much for your order, but not give me any real details. So we want to make sure that we're not wasting that opportunity of using that preview or that pre-header text and actually adding in something that is important there as well. Okay, so again, this is something that you would do in your automated emails. The subject line and the pre-header text, think of those, they should go hand in hand. The subject is going to grab their attention, and the pre-header is going to give them the details that closes that information, so that gives them all of the information that they need in order to, have all the order information or make that decision that they need to be making. So subject line, pre-header text. The fix number 4, again, I feel like we've been saying this a lot too, because um, sending out straight emails that were just pictures used to be something that people would do. They would create a really, really pretty, email that they would create in. You can do it in Canva now if you're just creating a straight image. We used to get sent Photoshop files way back in the day. People would send us a Photoshop file that we would then turn into a JPEG, and we would send out that JPEG out to people's inboxes. And it became, more and more you would either see people's email clients blocking it. So even now, like my Outlook won't automatically download an image. It's going to say, would you like to download this image? So I, as the user, actually have to do something in order to see what this email message contains. So no longer are we sending emails that are only an image. So if you have an email that is just an image, that's what we're going to want to encourage you to change to have that be a text-based image. You can still include images. We just don't want the whole thing to be images. Built-in AI tools, like the one I said on my Apple iPhone, it uses Apple Intelligence, and that will scan the email for HTML. So it's going to look for the actual text, and my Apple phone will completely ignore any graphical text that's inside the email. So if it's in a graphic, I don't care how beautiful that graphic is, my phone is likely going to ignore that. Again, so is my Outlook unless I go and download it. If you're relying on the AI summaries for a graphic-based email, AI has gotten smart enough where it can read the text, but the summary might skip the details that you deem important, right? So we're not able to say, hey, this is the important information because it's just reading all of that text that's in the image. So it would be not a perfect read of that text. So we do want you to convert your image only templates into an HTML template with actual live text in it. The other thing to say about this is two other things are, if you're sending straight image-based emails, that can scale really wonky on your phone. So if it looks beautiful on my desktop, but then I receive it on my phone, which is, tiny amount of pixels wide, that image might not render properly on my phone. So the text might be really small to where I can't even read it on my phone. And then it also creates a problem for accessibility tools. So screen readers are relying really on live text in order to tell that person what is on the screen. If your content is all baked into one big picture, visually impaired recipients of that image might miss your message entirely. So it might not get anything out of that. Again, the fix here is relatively simple. You want to convert your image heavy email template to live text. Again, you can still have the header, you can have your logo, you can have graphics within the text, but the headline, the body copy, the call to action, all of that main content needs to be real, selectable, AI readable text. If you're not sure how your emails are set up, if yours are image-based or text-based, forward me one and we'll take a look at it. We're happy to take a look and see how you're building out those emails and if they're readable. Not going to spend a ton of time on step 5 because we spent 40 minutes on it last week. My glorious, very exciting webinar about email authentication. But just to review, even if all of the previous 4 fixes that we talked about, they don't matter if your email's not getting delivered to people's inboxes at all. So step 1 really is you have to make sure your emails are being delivered. If the SPF, the DKIM, and the DMARC aren't configured correctly on your domain, your emails are more likely to land in spam or just get outright rejected. at that point, again, it doesn't really matter how good of a subject line you have because no one's going to see it anyway. So make sure if you didn't watch last week's webinar, go back and watch it. It's about as interesting as I could make a webinar on DNS settings for your mail, but this will help it make sure that your SPF is set correctly, and that proves that whoever is sending this email is authorized to send the email, that your DKIM record is correct, and that proves that the email content hasn't been tampered with. So from the sender to the recipient, the email hasn't been tampered with, and the DMARC defines what to do, what happens if you fail any of those checkpoints. So do go back and watch that webinar. It is a little bit technical, but the good news is it's a one-time setup for the most part. So if you're not sure if yours is configured correctly, watch the webinar, shoot me an email. We can go take a look and see if everything is correct and connected. Okay, so let's just bring this all kind of back to the 5 things that you need to look at before you send your next automated email. So go in and do this. It would take you 5 minutes to go pull up one of your messages and take a look at number 1. Is the most important information in the first 1 or 2 sentences and not buried below a huge hero image and a logo and all of that? So is the most important information in the first 1 or 2 sentences certainly above the 50% mark? Number 2, is the subject line specific? Does it tell the person who, what, when, and where, and what they need to do? If it's generic, rewrite that subject line, again, merging in things if need be. Number 3, did you write and include your pre-header or preview text? Make sure that that is not left blank, or else the email platform is just going to fill in with something that may not be beneficial to you. Number 4 is the email built with live HTML text, so actual text that can be selected, or is it mostly images? Again, if you're not sure, feel free to forward me one. We can take a look at it. And then number 5, go back and watch last week's webinar and make sure that your domain is authenticated. If you've never confirmed this, it is certainly worth checking. So again, these aren't major overhauls. I don't think anyone's going to need to go in and do anything radically different, but they are things that are worth taking into consideration now that people have completely changed their email reading habits. Just imagine if I have an application that I can say, hey, go tell me while I was at lunch, what emails came in and which ones need my attention the most. You want to make sure that if someone is reading their emails like that your message is clear and understood so that they're getting information that is meaningful to them. Okay. I am going to jump to questions here because I see a few have come in, and this comes from Heidi. Does this only apply to Gmail? No, Gmail is a pretty visible example right now because they've already rolled this out pretty broadly across the board. But other AI-assisted email previews, like I said, my iPhone is also using this if I read emails on there. Microsoft Outlook has Copilot features that do similar things. So just getting in the habit of front-loading that information and writing good subject lines is good practice, regardless of what email client your customers are using. Again, there's also those third-party add-in tools, like Superhuman is one that I know has gained a lot of popularity, that does go through and summarize the emails that have come in, what they are saying, and then what the response required by me would be. So yeah, it's just a good habit to get into, even if it's not just for Gmail. John O, can you help us look at our automated emails? Yeah, absolutely. That's something we can totally do. So if you have a setup and you're not sure how it's set up or how to merge in those tags, we can take a look and make sure that they're set up correctly as well. All right, looks like those are the only questions that came in. So just a quick note about next week. I am actually going to be out of the office next Wednesday, so I may record a webinar and send it out, but I do like to do them live just so we are here for the questions that come in. So be on the lookout. I'll send an email letting you know, but our next for sure live webinar will be July 1st, and that's when we're going to do our Q&A as well as the industry updates. So that's when we'll take a look and see what has happened in the world of digital marketing and all things related to it. So again, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate your time, and I will look forward to talking with you very soon.